Hi, in version 2.1 of Honkai Star Rail, we are getting the one, the only Acheron. Acheron is a 5-star lightning unit following the path of Nihility. She has an extremely unique kit compared to the rest of the characters in this game, and that in and of itself, together with her design, is already a pretty good reason to pull for her. But that being said, is her gameplay actually as good as her design? And for people interested in more than just her visual design, is she worth pulling for? Well, let's take a look at 3 reasons why you should pull for Acheron, and 3 reasons why you should not pull for Acheron. Before we start, I'll be giving away a supply pass / welcome moon / crystal card to my subscribers at 4K subs, so make sure you subscribe to enter. If you don't know what Acheron does, I have a guided link in the description, but in a nutshell, she is a lightning nihility DPS that focuses on her unique ultimate. Acheron's talent makes it so your ultimate requires 9 stacks of slash dreams instead of energy, and makes it reduce enemy toughness regardless of their element. To get those stacks, any teammate applying debuff will grant you 1 stack in addition to also applying 1 stack of Crimson Knot to the enemy. Acheron's skill does blast damage and gains 1 talent stack, and Acheron's ultimate is separated into 4 parts, all doing blast damage with an additional bonus instance of damage. The first 3 parts bonus damage will remove Crimson Knot from the enemy and deal damage to all enemies. And the 4th and last part's damage bonus will remove all remaining Crimson Knot and also do damage to all enemies. As I have said many times, she is a very non-traditional kit and in turn makes it a lot more complex than most other characters. However, there is one part of her kit that really makes her shine in compared to other DPSs, so that brings me on to the 3 reasons why you should pull for Acheron. Number 1. Acheron's talent makes her ultimate reduce enemy toughness regardless of their element. This is an extremely strong part of her kit because it trivializes enemy weakness type more than anyone else, even Silverwolf, as it is not a chance and Acheron herself can do it. This means that normally you have to match your DPS typing to the enemy weakness typing, or run a team with Silverwolf in some variation of a mono team. Acheron does not care, because she just breaks their weakness no matter what. This is super nice as more than anything, it means that you can use Acheron in basically any content anytime you want. In addition to her damage being also blast and AoE, which makes her actually quite a good option in all content. This all makes it really nice, especially when considering their pull value, as this means that no more benching your new favorite DPS because their element doesn't align with the enemies. Acheron's weakness ignore is what really makes her shine as a DPS compared to the others, since really the only other DPS that can be ran in whatever weakness content is Jinglu, but her reasoning is a lot more simple compared to Acheron's. And even then, it doesn't change the fact that Acheron is still generally more suited against different enemy weaknesses. Number 2. Acheron's kit makes her quite easy to build. Due to the abundance of damage percentage buffs her kit has, it can actually make attack balls, attack boots, or even attack body better if they have better substats. And even with that in mind, the standard crit body, speed boots, and lightning balls is still good on her. This all makes Acheron incredibly easy to build compared to other DPSs, who basically at all times needs crit body and damage percentage balls. Whereas Acheron can have multiple options and therefore more chances at getting good relics for her when farming. But what is also insane about her is how her ultimate works. Normally DPSs need to have a turn to get the energy unless you have Tingyun or Huohua. So for those ultimate reliant DPSs like Argentine, Jingyuan and such, you kinda really want to be running speed boots with speed substats. Unless you have Sparkle, but that's beside the point. Acheron is just as reliant or actually even more reliant on her ultimate than those DPSs, but she can actually ignore speed altogether if you choose to, as she's able to get energy or stacks in her case without having a turn. So unlike most other DPSs, Acheron can run attack percentage boots without losing damage per second in return for damage per screenshot. Number 3. Acheron has relatively cheap good teammate options. While other DPSs need the expensive Raiden Mei, Sparkle, or Bronya to reach their max damage potential, and running other supports will see a significant decrease in damage due to the amount of buffs Acheron grants herself in her own kit and her bonus ability, the Abyss, wanting 2 other Nihility units in the team, which conveniently fits with her ultimate requiring debuffs which Nihility units provide. Acheron can reach near her max damage potential without having to use really high value units. While of course her best team is still as expensive as the others, but when it comes to the difference between their free-to-play teams and their premium teams, Acheron will perform significantly better on her free-to-play teams compared to other DPSs on their free-to-play teams. This makes her actually quite free-to-play friendly in terms of teammate options. An example of a free-to-play team is Gwenevere, Pella, and Fire MC. This is an extremely strong team, and what I want to mention is that preservation characters, especially ones with a cell taunt like Fire MC, trend of the universal market is an insane icon for them as it applies a debuff to the enemy, just perfect for Acheron's ultimate uptime. However, with all that being said, having decent cheap teammate options is literally the extent of her free-to-play ability. Everything else about her is not quite what you like to hear, especially for free-to-plays. Which brings me onto the 3 reasons why you should not prefer Acheron. Number 1. Without E2, Acheron has really limited teammate options. The Abyss is a bonus trace ability that you really want to fully use. In almost all cases, the additional 55% damage increase is more than any other supports can buff in this game. So we are basically stuck with running 2 other Nihility units. That is already very limiting, but we also have to consider the fact that not all Nihility units is a pure debuffing support. In fact, most Nihility units are actually DOT sub DPSs. While DOT unit can still work with Acheron, like Grenadin, which I said it before, it does not change the fact that you cannot run a Harmony unit, which is a significant downside. Now of course, this is all assuming that you don't have a second Eidolon, which makes the Abyss only require one other Nihility unit to use it. But at the end of the day, it is still quite sad to see Acheron being tied to at least one other Nihility unit, as currently it's not too bad as the enemy debuffers still only exist within the Nihility path. But as time moves on, there's no guarantee that other paths, especially Harmony ones, won't have debuffs in their kit. Number 2. Acheron's signature Lycron is years above all the other options, and not to mention her abysmal 4-star or free-to-play options. For Acheron's Lycron choices, we have Silverwolf Lycron, Kafka's Lycron, Wells Lycron, and Goodnight Sleepwell. Yup, that's it, that's literally it. While its showtime can be used as a placeholder for until you literally get an S1 of Goodnight Sleepwell, she has nothing else that synergizes with her, making her actually quite comparable to how bad Blade has it when it comes to Lycron choices. But at least Blade is a destruction character, so the chances of them releasing a Lycron that could work with Blade is much higher than a new Nihility Lycron that could work with Acheron. As we do have to remember, Nihility is a path meant to debuff, so the chances we get a 4-star attack and crit Nihility Lycron is actually quite low. Yes, Goodnight Sleepwell at S5 is actually quite close to a signature Lycron, but trying to get Goodnight Sleepwell S5 is sometimes actually harder than getting her signature Lycron. Number 3. Acheron is still just another DPS. For people that already have good DPSs built, she really isn't worth all that much to your account. Yes, recently we have been getting a lot more supports than DPSs, but that doesn't change the fact that Jinlu and D-Heal still exist. And better yet, Dota Ratio was literally given out for free. Well, at this point, it is literally cliche to say the new DPS is just another DPS. But for Acheron, unfortunately, it really is that case. At E0, she's not going to outdamage either Jinlu or D-Heal at E0, and more likely than not, you have more supports in your account that fits the more traditional DPSs than with Acheron. While I won't sit here and pretend Acheron is useless in most people's account, since her damage ceiling is not as high as some of our current best DPSs, you'll be only playing her when A, you don't have a DPS for a specific element, or B, you just like playing her. So yeah, at the end of the day, waifus and husbands are always over meta. I don't care how many DPSs I have on my account, I'm still gonna pull for her. But that being said, so we have mono elements like mono quantum, now we have mono paths like mono nihility, so what's next? Mono hair color?